Hi everyone, this is Jamie with Kindred Being, and I have Jordan with us today, and she is going to share her awakening story. Hi Jordan, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Before we begin, I want to talk a little bit about how we met Jordan. We met Jordan online when I was looking for other local businesses to network with and to meet with. And so we met Jordan, and she offered to open up her class to us. She's a yoga instructor, and we went to her yoga class and enjoyed it so much. It was such a beautiful experience. It was so relaxing and invigorating. And I can't even say enough about the experience. And we love Jordan's energy so much that we continue to look for ways to keep in touch with her and to continue to work with her. And we just had a group regression with her not too long ago that I think went really well with Jordan and her class. And so how do you think that went, Jordan?
I think it went really well, especially the people who came are people who have really been showing an interest in needing to learn different modalities. So they got encouraged through yoga with me, and they're realizing that there's a lot more to the practice of yoga.
Sure.
And realizing those opportunities that they've been given for self-reflection makes their lives better. Mm-hmm. So I always want to connect and open up and expose people to all different types of things, and including myself. So this has kind of been like my year of discovery, my year of living my truth. And it's guiding me to people like you and to healing processes like what we experienced together.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, because that's all it takes, that opening up, and then all of a sudden things are brought into your life, and things just happen successively, one after the other, just mind expanding experiences. And go ahead.
Yeah, watching doors open up. It's hard to explain. Having that realization that it was always there,
mm-hmm.
but it's still new to you,
mm-hmm.
And feeling a familiarity with everything, even though it feels kind of like the first steps on a journey, but it's the difference of things just feeling really right.
Mm-hmm. That's like, I liken that to the feeling of remembering. So when you're learning something, it's that aha moment, like, oh, I've known that all along, but I didn't consciously know it, but I knew it. It's just a remembering, that's like that deep in your soul knowing when you find something that's true for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go. What's that?
But I love your necklace. I love that.
Oh, thank you. A friend of mine made this for me. I used to live on or really near Moonstone Beach in Cambria, and a friend of mine found this moonstone and made it into a necklace for me. So I thought that was so nice. Yeah. So let's start with your story. So where did this journey begin for you? For me, and I don't know for you as well, I think the yoga is right in line spiritually with enlightenment and ascension. It is all in one. So you're a yoga instructor. Where did that start for you? Where did your interest begin?
Well, I started yoga as a kid with my mom. So now that I'm where I am, there's my puppies. Now that I'm where I am in all of this, I realize none of that was happenstance.
Yeah.
doing yoga with my mom with our VHS, our Dixie Carter video in the living room. And I have two older sisters, and they didn't come in and do it with her, but I always loved the exercises. And when you said journey, and I didn't get it at first, now I do. I have a memory of being in junior high. Well, even I want to say probably around becoming a woman. So that had to be 5th grade on. I became obsessed with rainbows, and everyone used to call me Skittles. Now in my 30s, I have this like undying connection to the chakras, and everything to me is that energy. And especially as a yoga teacher, I teach to the energy wheels of our body. In hindsight, when I was transitioning hormonally into adolescence, my subconscious was drawing me to the rainbows, drawing me to the colors of the chakras to help balance me. I found my first little crystal shop at that time. Even now in hindsight, one of my first guides, and I don't even remember this woman's name, but her energy, I remember going through this downtown area of my hometown in Claremont called the Village. So getting out of school, going through there with my girlfriends, and we're 12, 13, so we're getting into bits of shenanigans. And this woman that owned a shop, and she came out and just, singled me out from the girls, and she was my village mom. And she'd always be like, "You're being a good girl," and she was technically a complete stranger. And every time I went down there, I looked for her, and we had this connection. And then the same with the woman that had the crystal shop. I'd go into her shop. She knew I didn't have money. And actually, I could probably find my first little amethyst that I bought at that time, not even just random. And there was a time when I started to gain more knowledge, and I feel as of late I can have that randomness again that I had as a kid when I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just being guided and going.
Yeah. That's
and
the
so,
part.
And so, that I went through a bunch of other stuff after that, and worked in corporate America, and it made me feel awful. And I made a vision board and secretly said in the vision board, I just want to do yoga. And less than a year later, that's what I was doing.
Oh, how amazing. You were able to manifest that in your life like that.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it hasn't been easy, right? We know the healing world isn't always the world of richness. And especially when you are, well, it is very rich, excuse me, you're right. I know, like direct. It's a very rich, very, very abundant.
They were like, correction.
But it's finding those paths to those two worlds, the world, the third dimension that runs on green, and the world of being a true person of light that understands there is abundance. Everyone is rich, and all of this is free.
Right. Yeah.
So that's I think that's going to be forever my path, as a teacher, and just as a living empath.
Yeah. I like the point you made about how the beginning of your journey, before you had all the knowledge base behind it, you were just being led. I think that is such an amazing point, because sometimes all these theories and concepts get in the way of our experience of just letting go and letting the information and the journey come to us, instead of putting what our concepts are onto what's happening with us. So, that feeling would just be, that's such a beautiful feeling.
Even that concept of trying, because you start to learn manifestation techniques. You start to learn feng shui. You start to learn this. You start to learn that. And you're like, oh, well, I don't have money right now because there are no plants in my house. And you start to want to pinpoint all of these, whys of this. And, oh, well, it has to be because my bed wasn't facing this way, or you just get so in your head. And that becomes such an extreme distortion and distraction from being able to truly communicate to your higher being and letting your guides take over. If it's guides, if it's God, realizing that there's something more than you, and letting it do its thing.
Yeah, it's all that letting go, the letting go. It's such a beautiful feeling when you feel it, and it's such a beautiful thing to do. And it always leads you in amazing places. It might not be exactly where you thought you'd be or that you'd want to go, but they're amazing places nonetheless. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your journey. So what kind of experiences, like in energy flow, did you feel after learning about the chakras or experiencing the chakras? Did you notice anything different energetically in your body?
Yes, but only after actually taking the knowledge into application. And especially as of late. So I take my teaching opportunities as learning opportunities for myself. So I've always been that way. I've always taught myself by trying to teach at the same time, and having it be an open discussion, and trying to always be the kind of teacher that doesn't have to tell people what to do. So I love when, people come into my class with something to share with me. Like, I don't need the floor the whole time. You know what I mean? So I got all of the matter on chakras, but I had a teacher named Pamela, and she gave us this huge folder of affirmations, all types of things that you actually need to be doing to maintain a balanced chakra system. So, not thinking about it, my chakras were a lot more balanced before I was a teacher. Because, and in the student position, you get to sit there, and I got to take yoga class after yoga class after yoga class after yoga class, and live through all of that, sound baths, meditations, workshops and this and that. Then when you start to become the teacher, the hours that you're spending in class are now teaching. And so I started to notice an imbalance where I was less and less really in my body and moving really up into the upper chakras. And it doesn't leave you feeling bad. But my body started to get shaky, shallow breathing. And then when I was teaching, I could drop down a little bit more. So subconsciously, things that would happen is like my body would just make me want to dance. And I knew that I needed to start exercising, or all of these things that are grounding, that are lower. I knew that I needed to leave the studio that I was currently teaching at, and that it was time for me to branch out. And as a result, I've gone to other people's chakra flow things, and getting back into the position where, I'm sitting there in the class, and everything that she's sharing, right, I already know. But still just taking it in for what it is, like listening to the words of the instructor as they are occurring, and letting it go through me, and also still taking things that I know. Like in this workshop, I know the hand mudras, so I did those. while she was doing the affirmations, and it was it was, you know, a 60-minute dance, trance dance with your whole body until you got into the upper chakras, and we went to lay down. I got an herbal bath because after I had my daughter, I didn't have my moon cycle for like a year and a half. And my body knew. Everyone's like, oh no, you're nursing. It's, you shouldn't be menstruating. But I knew that my sacral chakra needed to shed. So I got this herbal bath and it was incredible. But like 2 days later, I just go.
Oh, wow.
This is when you're doing things like this, you really, really, really have to maintain a balance. And I know that's why practitioners talk about coming from the heart. But I'd say personally for me, you have to always be doing stuff that keeps you down on the earth if you're going to be a spiritual worker. Because you'll get lost up there. You will. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a journey to be in those upper chakras, but yes, balancing them regularly as well. So that's so amazing. So you're basically, with your experiences, with your moving energy through your chakras, you receive these knowings of what to do to help you to balance your energy and to cure your physical body. So did this information just come in, or was it put in front of you? How did that come to you?
Well, yeah, like you said, it's just that knowing. And like we were talking about earlier, when you don't sit at, when I don't sit and agonize over what should I do, and just start going, it gets easier. It's immobilizing to sit and think about it and try to plan. Yeah, we can plan some things, but I mean,
and just know that everything's going to go.
It's a lot more freeing when I let myself just go. When I take days to do nothing, when I take days to be, motivated and accomplishing, and running that creative energy or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because I think that's such an important point for everybody, because so many people get caught up in that planning stage, that thinking stage of, okay, this, and that. That's what my day is going to be like. That's what my week's going to be like. That's what my year is going to be like. And that kind of puts you in an anxiety state of what's coming next. Okay, what's coming next? Okay, what's coming next? And instead of just taking it as it comes. And just experiencing every moment. So instead of being in the future with your thinking, or the past with your thinking, being in the now and just experiencing it as it comes. I think that's such an amazing lesson and something that's so important for all of us to remember. I love that point. Okay. So what has changed? Obviously, you said that your job has changed, basically. So you went from like corporate America to yoga instructor, doing this amazing energy work and body work and spiritual work that you're doing. So basically, what does your future look like? How is your future different now than it was then?
This is my retirement job. Technically, I went to school for marketing and public relations. So I learned, everything that I'm actually still doing. But I guess along the way, and I didn't know this until recently, that at first I'm like, oh, that was a waste. College was a wash. But we're still in this time. So I'm still living in a age where websites need to be built, viral connections are being made, everything that I did learn in school, and I realized that I can use it for light work, that it doesn't have to be to sell movies and consumer products, because I worked in entertainment.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I thought I wanted to do events. And when I started getting, going into yoga, and my parents saying to me, like, well, you used to do beautiful events, da, 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 this, that, and the other. And I realized I still do beautiful events. Every single time I step into the studio, I create a space for my class to begin. I'm not walking in with them, just throw some mats down. I go in, I bless this space. We have Christmas dinners and summer solstice celebrations. So I came to the realization that none of that was a wash. And the dream is still happening, but it's gotten deeper, because my dream is to continue to spread light, to spread love. There is a change happening.
Oh, yeah.
There's war, there's destruction, there are natural disasters happening. There are people dying from diseases, but there will be a world that's left. And it's for us that are living here right now to teach that way again, to teach, how we don't teach like Greek and Roman mythology anymore. All of those stories had a message. They had a moral. They had a don't be greedy or you'll never be happy. Right? When you understand it, the message is very clear. We don't teach that to our children or to each other anymore. So I believe myself, you, and others that are in our circle, we're here this lifetime to put that back into play for the new world. Because that shift's going to happen. And I do believe the children being born right now are children that are going to maintain their purity because they're being born of people like us.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love that. So, yeah, I mean, that's the message that I get from my spirit guides as well. It's that I am too, and there's so many of us who are doing it right now, and, that are just spreading the light and the energy, and spread the information too. For me, we're just regular people that miraculous, amazing things are happening to, and just kind of sharing that, putting that out there so that other people who are going through similar things know that they're not alone, and I think it's and I've experienced your class firsthand, and I just love the energy there. I just love what you do, and you really do set a stage for the experience, and it's an experience. It's a beautiful experience, and it's a journey in your classes, and you're definitely doing amazing work.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
want you to know how much we appreciate you. Did you have any other knowings or downloads that were really special and exciting to you that you want to share with us?
I'd say, people, they weren't in our last conversation. So to catch up, during my awakening or during the healing, my guide had said we're, moving up in our communication. And I've been realizing, over this last month that she's going to be working with me for a really long time to get to that direct communication. So much happened, so much rocked my physical world, almost directly following this awakening process. I'm stronger, and there's really kind of no other way to describe the knowing that. And hearing the messages, and like having so many memories as to, oh, that's why, because of this. Like I had, I'd gone to a new moon women's circle, and there's a woman who sees, and she doesn't teach, she doesn't do classes, but when she's around people, she just can't help but see. And the energy that had been brought in that night, we're doing a meditation and I got this message. This was even before, your sister and I met with each other, but it's all together. That. It was my guide that day. It was all this same room, almost in the same area of the studio that all of these messages have come in.
Oh, really?
So it just said straight up, it's gonna get hard. Something really hard is gonna happen. And so we automatically think ego-based, someone really close to me is gonna die, or those are my more fears of mortality, that my world's gonna get shaken like that. But it was like, no, it's not that. Just almost like I'm having a conversation back and forth. No, it's not that. No, it's not your kids, but you're gonna be fine.
So this was coming into you.
And I went to New York with my husband's family. And it was hard because it was a different diet, different environment, different people, nobody who really thinks like me that I had direct contact with. So I'm like, oh, phew, did it, got through that hard. And I was like, no, not yet. But like the earthquake we had last night, I was teaching a yoga class and everybody heard like a little sound first. And then a minute or two later, the earthquake happened. That's how I can describe it. New York was just that little flutter first. And then the earthquake happened and it was like a 6.8 and it's still shaking. There's still aftershocks. The difference, is I still have that it's going to be okay. It's all right. This is all because this is the journey that you're on. Like, I don't understand. I can't explain to someone else, but I'm sure that you've had it. It is a comfort. That's all I can say. It's just
that everything's going to be okay no matter what.
And it doesn't mean that you don't cry. Right. I've cried. I have expressed emotions. I sat in my car and literally said, F you, Mercury retrograde, and I went, what are you trying to show me? And I called around and I called friends. Do you think someone's cursing me? And then the comfort, the comfort when I'm out of the emotion and I can hear the answers. And it's not necessarily instantaneously, but in hindsight, it feels like it was. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. 100% it makes sense. That's the just understanding that everything's going to be okay. No matter what happens, that you're going to be okay and everyone else is going to be okay. And you're just on the journey. You're on the ride.
And it's in seeing like there's so many vessels that are sending messages. Like a girlfriend of mine's father passed away, and I hadn't been to a church, something like a real like church pastor. Like these are people that read the Bible thing in a really long time. I said, oh, and I sat there and I was just like, yes, and I'm like, yeah, God, right? I'm sorry, God. I've been doing all this universe, light, this, that, and the other. But it's okay to say God. It's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm a Bible thumper. And I really appreciated the vessel at that time, and the Christ energy. It's not something that I'm familiar with connecting to, and I had a connection with it.
Yeah. That's so special. That's so special. Yeah, that's kind of been part of my journey too, is, letting go of all of that, everything that separates us.
Yes.
So there's nothing different between, me and someone who has a different opinion than me, and it's all okay. And that kind of allowed me to open up to concepts that I may not have been open to before, such as, very strict religious concepts. I'm like, it's okay. They're connecting in their own way. We all want to connect, and then I was able to find that connection within myself too. So it's so amazing what happens when all these barriers dissolve between us and we realize that we're all the same, and we're all on similar journeys. So that's so exciting that you got that at church.
Yeah, I mean, well, at a memorial service, but yeah, the person who had passed was really religious, and they had a couple of pastors and all of the people from his church, and being somewhere where people openly expressed their love for God.
Yeah.
And as a yoga teacher, I can't bring God into it. There's yoga at churches, but in my studio, I shy away from it. And having that realization that there is God, there's that one energy, and it's okay for me also to believe that there are multiple gods and demigods, and it's okay for it all to be true, and for it all to be right. And in this moment, this expression of God is talking to me, and I'm going to listen.
Oh, that's so powerful. I love that. You actually mentioned your awakening. So was this a one moment event, or one, event that happened in your life when you actually felt the awakening, spiritually?
If I'm going on the cuff, I feel like I'm probably like a quarter of a way into the beginning. Maybe a little bit less.
Okay.
Check in with me halfway through. See if I still have hair on my head.
We're all on the journey, I don't know that it ever ends. I don't know if there ever is an awakened.
Yeah.
It's always awakening.
I feel like that image in meditation where you talk about the lotus flower still being bound. I've used this, and I know that I didn't make it up. There's been a lot of things that I've guided in meditation and said in classes, and this has happened actually recently, and read a book, and it was in the book. This happened with this book right here, actually. So, Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've read that one.
It's a good read. It's quick too. You could probably sit there and read it in a day. But this is what I feel like right now. So I've used this imagery, having that the bound bud of the lotus flower in that murky, muddy water, and little bits, the choice to start to rise up, and how good that feels, and starting to get higher and higher, and beginning to see, and the water beginning to clear, and beginning to see little buds and little streams of light coming down. And then you hit the top of the water, and your petals just start bursting open, and water's dripping down, and sun starting to kiss, and then eventually you're open, and your nectar showing, and you're blowing across the water. That's what I feel like right now. That's what I feel like I'm going through, and I appreciate it going slowly, just eating the best piece of cheesecake, the richest piece of cheesecake you've ever had, and wanting to take tiny bits and just let it melt in your mouth.
Just savor it. Oh, wow. That's such a beautiful visualization. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Oh gosh, that's so beautiful.
I really like that, and that I really do feel that way. I love talking to you.
Oh, I love talking to you too. That's why we
say all of these things that other people would be like, okay, okay, you're underwater. And you're not scared. Like I said in a class the other day, let's do some things to open your heart. And they were new to yoga, and her face was she's like, well, all I think when you say open heart is open heart surgery. And that would have never crossed my mind, to an open heart. But getting into how to communicate with other people to help them on their journey, if they happen to be able to experience awakening, if we're using a word.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, I always refer people to books and try, like, okay, if you want to read, if you want to dig more, like I started a master's class, and we do work really hard in the body in the master's class, but a lot of the master's class has to do with yoga philosophy, uh, applying yoga philosophy, pranayamas and asanas in everyday life, learning more hand mudras for more concentrated meditations, learning different mantras, creating your own mantras, and just really doing the work together for a couple of weeks to build up these tools, because we are still living these physical lives. So I say, whatever you guys get from this, go out now and get a book and teach yourself more. Here are some references, here are some books, here are some people. But if you're really into it, stop pretending like you care about the other stuff that people want you to care about, and really put an investment in what's fulfilling you. And some people take it and some people don't. I mean, I even have to take my own advice sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too. Usually when I'm trying to express something to someone else, it's usually a message for me.
Well, and I realized that so many people that have come into my classes, either we are healing the same, we have so many similarities. And even now, getting to the point where realizing those people that just pass through, it's meant to be that way. Like, as a business owner, I don't have to retain every student, because when I step in and I look around, especially now, I think, I've been building for about 7 years. The love and the relationships that we have built from those of us that have stayed because we were meant to heal together. And then you get new people come in, and someone just shared with me, like, I felt kind of out of it, like everyone was so close and I felt like I would never be close. And then the next thing I know, I just felt like a part of the family. And Spirit doesn't lie. She was meant to be there, and she was a little bit scared at first because she didn't know we were her spirit family. But then she had a little awakening and is now comfortable.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it really does feel like a family there. And you're so inclusive as well. So you're so welcoming to everyone who comes through the doors. It's just an amazing experience. Did anybody in your family or your relations or your friends, did they notice like a difference in you when you started following this path?
I know my husband for sure. We've talked about it. I don't know really if anybody else. Well, yeah, probably my students. Some people have said that they can see me, getting stronger, and even especially at the new studio, because you got to come to both of the studios, and I do feel like a lot has gone on over there. And, for sure, like, my husband met me as, a party girl, no kids, but, a lot more freeing and a lot more physically destructive than I'm choosing to be now. So it's different for him because our idea of fun is really starting to change. So when I go out, and we talked about this, so even this happened just this last weekend, my higher self is like, hey, you don't have to be drunk. You don't have to be doing what everybody else is doing. And that's been a thing of mine. When in Rome is always my saying. If I show up somewhere and they're singing karaoke, well, I got to sign up. When in Rome. So we went out this weekend, and I was like, yeah, I don't really feel like drinking. And I didn't want to go because I knew that pressure was going to be out there. but I still went, and I thought, I'm not going to have I didn't know anybody there. I'm not going to have anything in common with anyone here. You know, no one's going to be like me. And I was wrong. I had this incredible connection with these two women, and they were the first people. You know, I was sitting inside with my husband. He was with his friend, and I got bored with their conversation. So I was just like, all right, go outside and go introduce yourself to someone. And the first two people that I introduced myself to end up everything that I'm into, you know. And she's the one girl is like, oh yeah, we have my friend has this space out in Malibu where it's like this open space where we can do sound baths and gong baths under the full moon and blah 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 blah. And seriously, I keep telling people this story that it feels like our conversation started from like directly in the middle, like we're already just
you're vibing
each other.
Yeah.
It was like we had already, like we were talking about this on the way over there, and we're finishing up the conversation in the middle of the party, I swear.
Oh, wow. That's so
and you know, there's always going to be differences, right? So my husband's like, oh, well, you're never, and I thought that we were going to go out and you were going to let loose and blah, 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 blah. And I'm continuing to explain to him, I did let loose because I wanted to be a recluse and go back to my cave and go to bed at 9 o'clock like I always do. Mm-hmm. And I had an incredible time. And I don't apologize for not having to be drunk to have fun. Mm-hmm. Like, well, I just wanted to have a good time. I said, I'm really happy that you had a good time. And I did too.
Yeah.
And those are the facts of the matter. But it still seems to be kind of like, over his head a little bit. Like, what do you mean? Like, we didn't have the kids. Like, why were you being like that? And I was like, well, and so I did. I said, do you have a problem with the way that I'm changing? He's like, well, I don't know. It's just different. So we'll see. You know, tune back in, because I also do not feel apologetic for it at all. And I'm not going to like slow down either.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't turn back.
Yeah.
It's like
it has its own momentum.
Raging Waters, you get to the top of Dropout. They don't let you back down that staircase.
Right, exactly.
You got to go down that slide.
Exactly. It has a momentum to it for sure. So have you noticed in raising your vibration through this experience, but it sounds like you've been on this journey for a while. So you've probably been working with energy and vibration for a while. But when you began to do that and you're raising your vibration, did you notice that your interactions with others changed in any way? Or did you notice a difference in vibration of those around you? Was your vibration affecting them?
Yeah, I can see it mostly with interactions with strangers. You know, you just go out and it's hard to put this into words. Let me think. How do you explain what happens?
Yeah, it's always hard to define it with words.
It's like this unconditional exchange. So even I started a while ago encouraging myself to really look at people, and you realize what you have your preconceived notions of someone with, you know, that may look like a racist. We'll do that. You know, big skinhead guy with tattoos all over, and you're like, ooh, in the grocery store. And then you look in his cart and you're like, this guy's shopping for his family.
Sure.
And it's love.
Sure.
And I feel like you don't need to like title. And then when I got past that barrier, then it's, you know, just making direct eye contact. And always end up in random, longer than needed, would say, conversations with strangers in stores, you know, walking in. I believe you know, my son has this incredible light that draws in beautiful people. And I believe that, you know, part of him being on this planet is for that, because, you know, before them, you know, we can go around like, but then you have this beautiful child sitting in the car and people are drawn in, and you realize how much kindness and how much love and how much, you know, unconditioned there truly is, and how much there is really like, there isn't as much to fear as we think. So that for sure. And then as the journey continues, my friends have completely changed, but I still go back to the old friend groups for your Thanksgivings, your birthdays, your baby showers, your weddings, and it's okay. But it's not even close to as meaningful as this past 30 minutes has been with you. Or even some of those random interactions in the grocery stores.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, you definitely have a bright light, Jordan. You're just beaming light and energy, beautiful energy all the time. And that light is just like a magnet to others that have, you know, vibration, match your vibration in that light. And you just pull everybody in, and you're so amazing. You have so much to teach too. And I have enjoyed so much spending the time together that we've spent together. And I always enjoy hearing about your experiences. And let's tell everybody where your yoga studio is.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in Upland, California. I at 869 East Foothill Boulevard. The studio I'm currently at is called The Healing Touch. So you can either look up The Healing Touch or go to loveyourselfyoga.org, where you'll find my personal events, my personal classes, and links through to the other places that I go to and the other places that I teach at. So for instance, at The Healing Touch, for anyone who's interested, we always recognize the moon cycles. So we do new moons and full moons.
I've yet to go to one of those. I want to go so bad.
Yes, and like sound baths. We always have different practitioners out. This last full moon, we made candles and did Reiki. So I put it out there like this. Anyone who is looking for a way to spend a couple of hours that leaves them feeling fuller, you know, and you wake up the next day feeling vibrant as opposed to drained, like some of the other activities that we participate in this dimension. Just start doing it. Sign up for one, get that feeling, get that natural high, come out next month, start doing your own stuff, and let's just do this.
Yeah.
So loveyourselfyoga.org. Jamie will be there. The girls are sitting out. We're doing yoga and meditation every third Sunday. We're trying for just about every third Sunday of the month.
Yeah, we're so excited to do that with you.
Building a meditation group.
Yeah, and spend time with your students and everybody in your classes. It's so exciting. And before we go, can you tell me a little bit about, I know there's probably a lot to say there, but a little bit about your experience with your KBBQH session, your Kindred Being Beyond Quantum Healing.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that pretty much. Like, I feel like this whole time, I feel like this process, these realizations that I've had lately and memories have been because of the Kindred Being Beyond Quantum Healing. Yeah. And that knowing in the experience, you know, my higher self said, you know, can I have some, you know, I thought I needed work done to my stomach. And she went straight in and said, nope, it's your brain. It's your mind. It's the way that you're thinking. And it was like that download. And I've heard other people say it a lot, and I never used it before, but with the first time I heard someone say download, I'm like, yeah, that's what it was. That's what she was doing. Because like I could have that vision in head of like what it looks like when you're watching like a science documentary and it shows what the neurons in your brain working looks like shocks and flashes of lights, but with that obvious form of the neurons. And she's just like, we don't have enough time. Like right now is not enough time. And she's been working with me.
So it continued after your session.
Together for forever. I mean, this is an eternal relationship.
Yeah. Okay, so you had the session with Lila, and that session is actually in our session videos as well. Right. So if anybody wants to watch it, it's there. It's unedited. You know, it's whole experience.
It's the popcorn
from beginning to end. But it was a really powerful experience, and there was so much information there for everyone. You know, so I thought that was really amazing session to watch, and I want to thank you so much for sharing that with all of us.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it was just beautiful.
These ladies have something magical, you guys. Experience this process. I mean it, like full disclaimer. Either come out to a group regression, test it out, see what it's like. But it's really it's worth experiencing if you're looking for a higher vibration this lifetime. If you're looking around and you're like, why are these other people so happy? It's because of Beyond Quantum Healing.
Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed your session so much, and we're so happy to do a session with you too, and that you're sharing all that information with us. It was so exciting, and you have so much to give, and you keep giving and giving, and we love you for it so much.
Oh, I appreciate you guys.
And I'm going to put a link to your site, Love Yourself Yoga, down below the video here, so they can find you and go to your amazing classes.
Thank you.
And is there anything else you'd like to share before we close today, Jordan?
That's it. Just we can all live compassionately. It really does start with self-love. So I'll encourage everyone, look in the mirror, start truly loving yourself, start truly making decisions that you know are saying I love you to your body. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be what other people are doing. Set clear intentions and start from within.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Well, thank you, Jordan. And we'll see you soon at the group regression.
Absolutely.
And we'll see all of you in our next video. Thank you so much for watching.